Hurricane Tammy has made landfall in Barbuda. Good evening, I'm Mike Nasa with this 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time update on this Saturday night, October 21st. We are watching a hurricane make landfall in areas of the Caribbean islands. Very deep convection as the eye of the hurricane went directly over the island of Barbuda, causing wind gusts up to 90 miles per hour and a pretty good lashing. A lot of heavy rainfall following behind in areas of Guadeloupe as well as Dominica and Martinique. We will talk about Tammy. Here is the latest as of 11 p.m. Atlantic time. Hurricane Tammy was at 17.8 north, 61.9 west. Maximum sustained winds are 85 miles per hour, making it a solid Category 1 hurricane. It made landfall over Barbuda a couple of hours ago with winds of 85 miles per hour. The pressure was 990 millibars. Pressure right now 992. It is moving north-northwest at 10 miles per hour, currently about 15 miles north-northwest of Barbuda and about 80 miles east-southeast of St. Martin. Now, the forecast does have it strengthening a bit, perhaps getting close to or becoming a Category 2 hurricane by Monday, slowing down as it misses the trough and kind of getting left behind. There's uncertainty. Yesterday, we were thinking a track right out to sea, but it appears as though, based on the model guidance, the hurricane will get left behind by the trough, and we may have ridging build back in, and we might see it slow down and even bend west. I'll talk about that. We do have hurricane warnings in effect. We have a hurricane warning for the island of Barbuda, obviously, and Anguilla. We have a hurricane warning for St. Martin as well as St. Barthélemy. You guys are all under hurricane warnings. A tropical storm warning is in effect for Saba and St. Eustatius. And again, the wind field here is impacting areas of the Caribbean islands. Hurricane force winds sustained with higher gusts for sure in areas there of Barbuda. Here's the radar out of Barbuda. And again, the eye wall is just to the north of the island. Watch as the eye here came right across the island. It made that little turn northwest and moved directly over the island of Barbuda. Barbuda became infamous in the meteorological community in 2017, in late August, actually early September of 2017. Hurricane Irma made landfall directly over the island of Barbuda as a Category 5 hurricane. It had winds of about 180 miles per hour. Now, the winds of this hurricane were about 100 miles per hour less than that. So this was still a hurricane. It's still giving them a lashing, but this is no Irma by far. But Tammy still means business. Look at this heavy thunderstorm activity here. Now, thankfully, it's offshore right now, Guadeloupe. But again, all of this moisture impacting areas there of the islands. Here's a graph from Twitter. This is from 268 Weather. Note here the wind speeds over Barbuda, and then we had that spike, and that was 2-minute winds all the way up to 77 knots, which is getting up towards 90 miles per hour. So again, strong winds, and we're going to see some damage. There are some higher elevations in the high hills of Barbuda, and the winds will likely be even stronger in that area. Here is the satellite imagery of the hurricane, kind of a cool pink satellite of Tammy. The center of the hurricane is right in here, so it's still riding along the ridge, which could cause, by the way, some extra wind with the pressure gradient as it grinds against the ridge of high pressure. It looks like the ridging and the trough is going to have that interaction where it misses the connection to the trough and starts to slow down. Hopefully the rainfall will be out of the islands before that happens. We don't want the threat of more flash flooding and mudslides. But again, it doesn't look terribly well organized, but it's holding its own. Solid Category 1 hurricane for sure. Now, here are the computer spaghetti model plots, and this looks a lot different than yesterday. Yesterday, we were seeing them go like this. Now, we're seeing them bend it back west. Back west. Back west. Now, why is that? What it looks like is going to happen is the trough will move off the eastern seaboard, and the ridging will build back in, and Tammy's going to get left behind and potentially build back towards the west. Now, the good news is it doesn't look like it'll be very intense. Could be a hurricane, but a hurricane like it is now, a Category 1. Remember, last year, Hurricane Nicole was a Category 1 on the east coast of Florida in November, so it happens. But if you are in the Bahamas, Turks, Caicos, Florida, keep an eye on it now, because these models here, look at the GFS, they're all bending it back west. Look at the European model. These take it, some of them take it all the way into the Gulf of Mexico by Halloween. Now, it would be a tropical storm, but still, we're going to have impacts on the United States from a storm we didn't know was going to make it to the islands. This is crazy, especially this late in the year, but it could happen. There's also a potential possibility that as the system comes up and it slows down, it bends west and then kind of gets kicked out by a trough later on if it slows enough to kind of this snake-like track that we could see sometimes. But there's also a possibility that it just decides to go to Florida. We'll see. We'll watch it. Right now, I don't think it'll be a hurricane. And if it is one, hopefully not a major hurricane, although some of the hurricane models show it getting pretty strong here east of the Bahamas. So who knows with this hurricane season. The key messages for Hurricane Tammy. Right now, hurricane and tropical storm conditions expected in the northern Leeward Islands through early tomorrow, Sunday. We have hurricane conditions right now on Barbuda. Anguilla, you're getting in the heavy stuff too. Secondly, the heaviest rains from Tammy will continue through Sunday over the Leeward Islands. You could have isolated flash urban flooding and isolated mudslides, especially, like I said, in the higher terrain. Number 3, a storm surge. Remember, this is a hurricane, so where the onshore flow is, you will have storm surge, and that will have dangerous waves on top of that. So we're going to watch very, very carefully the water rises, especially in those little harbors of the islands. Again, there's Hurricane Tammy leaving Barbuda, impacting the northern Leeward Islands. There's the trough and the ridging to the north of Tammy, and this ridging here is definitely going to play a role with some of the wind gradient, getting those stronger winds, especially in higher elevations. This trough pulls out, the ridging kind of weakens back, Tammy will be left without a home. So it will meander here, and then as ridging builds back in, push back to the west. Probably. How far west, how strong it gets. Does it slow down, bend west, and then get kicked out? That's a potential possibility too. We're going to watch it very, very carefully. In the eastern Pacific, we had Hurricane Norma, had been up to a Category 4 hurricane at one point, made landfall as a Category 1 on the Baja. We are now watching Norma as a tropical storm as of 9 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. It was at 23.5 north, 109.7 west, winds of 65, moving north-northeast at 6, and it has certainly weakened. We still have tropical storm warnings because by tomorrow night, it will impact mainland Mexico, and the impacts for Norma, number 1, heavy rain from Norma will continue for southern portions of Baja through Sunday and through Sinaloa through Monday, and this will produce flash and urban flooding and mudslides in areas of higher terrain. Secondly, the tropical storm conditions will continue through tonight in that warning area over the southern Baja Peninsula. And number 3, Norma will bring tropical storm conditions to the west coast of mainland Mexico beginning early in the morning on Sunday. So again, an impact there to Mexico, but obviously the moisture is moving away from the center. Norma is weakening. It really fell apart. It was a Category 4, then it was a 3, then it was a 2, then it was a 3, and then a 2, and then a 1. So it fell apart quickly from a major hurricane before landfall, thankfully, but still causing an impact there to areas of Mexico. So that'll do it for the tropics. Hurricane Tammy, stay tuned. It has made landfall in the Leeward Islands, still impacting heavy rain. It's going to take a while for all this to move out as it slows down, and we will watch any future track and intensity scenarios as it might get left behind and head towards land masses further west. I'm Mike Naso with continuing YouTube video coverage of Hurricane Tammy. Please like, subscribe to the other channels in the description, and I will talk to you next time.